Everton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. The game has just finished at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Everton fans tasting defeat for the first time at their new stadium. Tottenham Hotspur continuing their undefeated train and track of form in the Premier League away from home this season and currently sit third in the table on 17 points, 5 points behind league leaders Arsenal, a point behind Bournemouth in second. It really wasn't the prettiest of games, guys. It really wasn't one to remember. But we got the job done. A professional performance under horrendous, awful weather conditions up in Merseyside this evening. And Tottenham Hotspur come away with all 3 points. I think you could absolutely argue that it was deservedly so. Although I think if you're an Evertonian fan, if you're David Moyes, you're probably scratching your head wondering how it is that the scoreline reflects, which I think, on fairness, is a little bit of an unreasonable, flattering scoreline for Tottenham Hotspur. It doesn't matter. The points are all that matters. And Tottenham went there with a game plan. We went there with a style and a strategy and to unpick their team over set pieces, something that has become an ever-present part of the Premier League narrative, not just for Tottenham, but for most teams this season. Before this evening's game, Everton were the last remaining team in the Premier League to have yet to have conceded from a corner kick. Well, that didn't last long, or a set piece in general. That didn't last long. Tottenham Hotspur scoring 2 from set pieces today. Micky van der Ven being the goal scorer on both. A phenomenal performance from him. A man of the match performance from him. Sensational from his playing partner, Kevin Danso. And in front of them, a really, really top performance from me from Rodrigo Bentancur. I've been a little bit harsh on Bentancur, not recently because of this narrative around him and Palhinha not playing together. I just personally think that Bentancur at times can slow the play down. And whilst he might be our best passing midfielder, it's the bar is fairly low in that regard. And I would like to see Tottenham move on and find someone with a better range and a better tempo to that passing position. However, today, he absolutely shut me up. I thought he was fantastic. I thought Palhinha next to him was brilliant. And a very slick surface, a very awkward environment with 2 players that Everton now have to be able to attack down both sides with equal flair in Ilian and Dye, a player that I would love to see Tottenham see if they can attract, if Tottenham are looking for a left winger that can be versatile and can play off the right on the right-hand side today. And, of course, Jack Grealish, an ever-present threat down the left. Everton had balance. Everton had a lot of possession in the second half. They had a lot of opportunities to try to carve out a way back into the game, going into the break 2-0 down, but Tottenham were resolute in that second half. It wasn't a pretty performance. We did very little with the ball from open play in the second half, but we had something to defend. Before that happened, though, of course, the first half took place. I don't know why I'm starting my analysis with the in a reverse engineering process, but we're going to go with it. We're going to run with it. There's no retakes. It's all one take Tottenham. First half, Tottenham Hotspur. Look, we got away with one in the very opening minutes of the game. The ball sort of fizzed through to the back post and a shot, I think it was from Yarmouth, was maybe from Jack Grealish, that actually hits the back of Pedro Porro, and we get away with one because it looked like that was going to be nestled into the bottom corner. From there, Tottenham get into the game and eventually carve out the first opportunity from a set piece. A set piece where the commentators on the telly were saying the back post, the corner kick was taken from Mohamed Kudus, and it's a very well-worked training ground routine, clearly. Bentancur losing his man at the back post and jumping for the ball. The commentators gave him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not entirely sure. I think he put his head towards it. But either way, he shouldered it back across. And there's Micky van der Ven at the back post to settle it in 1-0. Then you had the controversy. Everton fans up in arms about the fact that their goal was overruled, what was deemed interference with the goalkeeper from an offside position. I think you could make the argument that absolutely did happen. Although when Tottenham scored their second goal a few minutes later, Micky van der Ven once again from a set piece, this time from the other side from Pedro Porro, you could make the argument that there was a little bit of huffing and shoving and pushing and inconsistency with the application of the laws when Micky van der Ven probably interfered with the Everton goalkeeper Pickford. I'm not complaining, but if you're an Everton fan and you're looking at half-time and you're seeing the distribution of fortune with regards the VAR and the refereeing decisions, you could probably lean in and think that there was a little bit of inconsistency there. But obviously the big difference being that the Everton one started from an offside position, whereas Micky van der Ven was onside. Other than that, I think the referee had a fairly good game, a relatively good game, and it wasn't a particularly free-flowing game. Tottenham couldn't get their foot on the ball for the most part. Now, neither were Everton particularly great with it. A lot of pinball stuff in the box, but Tottenham Hotspur come away with the points. I'm just going to show you some statistics before we move into the kind of takeaways, because, like I say, there's been narratives and agendas at play all week. I think a lot of point scoring between fans, people that want to either see Thomas Frank as being some sort of angel that can do no wrong, and other people that are just not happy with the level of performance that's on display. And maybe they are coming at it with a bit of a frustration to even see Thomas Frank in the hot seat in the first place. A lot of people maybe still feeling a little bit sore about their man Ange Postecoglou being given the boot, and we're waiting for an opportunity to have a crack. And after the last few performances where we haven't really had the output, the outcome, the results from the games going in our favour, some niggles and some moans were starting to be audible. But today, all of that can go away again, because we got the 3 points. And when Tottenham win, and when any team wins, it doesn't really matter how you're playing. It's when the performance isn't there and the results aren't as well. That's when people start to get very frustrated. If we look at the momentumometer, guys, you can see the first half was a little bit of, okay, like it's saying, back and forth, back and forth. It wasn't a great game. It was spicy. It was quite tempestuous at time. There was a little bit of niggling, a lot of arguing amongst certain players. I think Van der Ven and Grealish had some arguments. I think Kevin Danso had a couple of arguments as well with Jordan Pickford as well. Just generally speaking, a lot of frustrations with from the home side and the home fans that were kind of bringing in a decent atmosphere into the game. As soon as we go in 2-0 at half time, and then basically the second half, we were backs against the wall. The substitutions that Thomas Frank made, I think, were relatively smart. I think by the end, though, if we had conceded a goal with about the 70 minutes on the clock, and then we ended up conceding a second one in that hypothetical, we'd sort of made our mind up that we were going to be playing the hanging on game rather than going again. So if there had been a goal or an equaliser, there probably would have been only one winner. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the starting 11. So Vicario was in goal. Another fantastic performance from Vicario for me. Absolutely sensational. 2 or 3 really, really good saves. I don't like him from corner kicks. I think he was flapping and flopping at a lot of the corner kicks that were coming in the first half, and for the most part in the second half as well. In that crowded area, he tries to come for it and sometimes gets absolutely nowhere near. Again, at some point that's going to be punished, but it wasn't today. But in terms of his point-blank saves, once again, some absolutely fantastic adaptations from him. The way he can move on a sixpence, essentially, and get down very low very quickly from shots that were deflected. I think, was it Dewsbury Hall or was it Garner? I think they might have had one of the shots in the second half that caught Vicario. And another goalkeeper would have been far too late to get down to. But very, very impressive from him. 7.8 according to SofaScore. Pedro Porro, look, he had a tough afternoon for the most part with the ball going forward. He didn't really do very much. And defensively, again, like a lot of the work was going down his side. So he did get the assist. And again, clean sheet, no problem at all. I love Pedro Porro. I think he's fast becoming one of my favourite players. But alongside him, you've got Kevin Danso, who was absolutely sensational today. No complaints. An absolute monster in the air. I think that guy is a wonderful, wonderful player to have in a squad. And when Romero's out, previously not having anyone to go to, he is an absolutely fine stand-in, an absolutely fine replacement. And listen, no complaints at all. I really don't ever remember Kevin Danso making too many mistakes. Micky van der Ven, captain's performance from him, 2 goals, but he was furious and just fabulous as well with his defensive reinforcements. In that second half, it was just like a wall that wasn't getting broken down. They were so determined to keep it together. Really, really impressed. Jedley King at left back today. Again, difficult to give him too many plaudits in the way of going forward. I think he tried his best to get forward in the second half and break, but there really wasn't too many options. It's the same old story with us with the ball, with that kind of that defensive block, and Polinia being the kind of the DM that just sits and protects. There's a lot of responsibility on the front 4 to get forward. Bentancur today, I thought it was his best performance for me for a long time. He had a shot that just whizzed wide. Obviously, the assist for the first goal, but just more than that as well. He was getting stuck in a tough midfield battle with Idris Gueye. I think that he came out on top in many of those battles throughout the game. So really, really impressed from Bentancur and Palhinha as well. Front three today, front four. Kolo Muani started up top. I actually thought Kolo Muani, guys, had a relatively good performance. Really appreciated his efforts. It wasn't. As I say, it wasn't one of those days where he was going to be too involved because we just weren't on the ball, couldn't get on the ball, and it just wasn't one of those situations where the guys at the top end of the pitch that were the creative ones were going to have too many opportunities. When we did, Xavi Simons was sort of, they're saying here that Kudus was put in the 10, Simons was off the left, and Brennan Johnson was off the right. For me, it was very fluid. I saw Brennan Johnson on the left-hand side at times. I saw Brennan Johnson down the right-hand side. I definitely saw Xavi Simons coming through the middle and Mohamed Kudus as well doing his bit. Again, I'm not going to sit here and praise too many of them. I think Kudus is fantastic at keeping the ball. We know that his hold-up is sensational, but didn't do too much with the ball going forward today. Xavi Simons, again, trying his best, but he feels very, I don't know what the right word is. Is it isolated? He seems like when he does get the ball and drives forward, he holds on a little bit too long. He's looking for the right pass. I think he, for the most part, when there was the opportunity, the ball got to his feet, he did push it out wide to Brennan Johnson at the right time, but it's just not clicking. It isn't clicking. We're experimenting with different four balls at the top end of the pitch right now. It isn't clicking. There's obviously a lot more to come from this forward line. We obviously do need a lot more support. When Maddison gets back, obviously not for a long time, but when Decky gets back, I think that will be a catalyst for more kind of chemistry and link-ups. And I'm obviously hoping that in January we can bring in one or two more reinforcements. When Richalison came on, I mean, apart from the header, the flick-on header for the third goal, which was lovely, very unselfish of him to put it down for Pape Sarr to finish the game off. Apart from that, he had a couple of moments. He had one breakthrough chance where he smashed it into Jordan Pickford, and then at one point towards the other side, he there was a bit of a pinball with him and someone else. I think it was Undefeated, and it breaks free. And he runs onto it, but then he just runs out of steam, runs out of ideas. I see him waving his arms and flapping in frustration at times as well. So he just doesn't seem very happy. But the whole front four is a bit of just a mess for me at the moment. But we're not going to bore you too much with that stuff because it is what it is. And we obviously have to figure it out. But those things will take time. It's not a problem when you win and when you do things the dirty way, do things the ugly way like we have today. A couple of set pieces, and then settle in, sit in, become defend like beavers, and then try and grab a third just to secure the game. It is what it is. It wasn't pretty, but look, for me, it's only going to be a problem if and when we lose, or if and when we draw, and we draw ugly. But when we're winning 3-0 away from home, and the horrendous conditions at a new stadium, we're continuing our unbeaten away form. We've broken Everton's inability to concede via set pieces. We've broken their duck as well at the Deal Hickinson Arena. For me, I'm really chuffed, really impressed with the performances of the guys at the back and in the defensive midfield thing. But as I say, there's nothing we haven't really learned from today in terms of a new figure, a new formation, a new structure, a new strategy with regards to the top four. It's going to take time. I just hope the guys that are at that top end of the pitch are not getting too frustrated and not getting too down on themselves, because confidence and momentum is everything in life. And if they don't have the confidence, if they don't trust each other, if they can't figure each other out, and if they start to kind of eat away at each other for not being on the right path or the right page when someone's making a move, then those things are going to eat away, and it's going to become a bit of a spiral out of control to the downside, which it doesn't have to be. I think that the setup of the day was clearly to go about it the way we have. A well-executed, well-oiled game plan. Very impressive from Thomas Frank. I do want to see more in the realms of football, because it isn't pretty, and at some point people are going to get frustrated. But as I've said 1,000 times now, it's fine when you win. It's just not fine if you don't. I'll leave it there, guys. Let me know your thoughts. My man of the match was Micky van der Ven, obviously 2 goals and a brilliant captain's performance at the back as well. But I would shout out to Kevin Danso and a shout out to Bentancur as well. I thought they were both absolutely sensational today. And like I say, and I even thought that Berghvall and Pape Sarr came on and did a good enough job in that scrappy close. But too much for Everton. But it certainly wasn't a 3-0 chasm of a game. There wasn't a lot between the two teams, but one team took their chances and the other team didn't. We'll go third in the table. On we go. Come on, you Spurs. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, bye-bye.